The Kansas City Chiefs will play the Buffalo Bills in an AFC Championship game rematch. We have a fantastic show for you guys today. I'm Michael Darcy, he's Josh Fan, and we have the luxury of being joined by our good friend Lucas Murphy. If you guys haven't already heard, we've done podcasts with Lucas dating back years ago, so it was a treat to get him back on the show and preview a little Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game and also talk a little bit more about that Texans-Chiefs game because the Chiefs did win. They maybe didn't play their best football, but now it's all hands on deck going into this AFC Championship game. So, Lucas, I want to first start off with you. What are your initial thoughts after that Texans game, and how are you feeling about this Bills game?
To be honest with you, Michael, I think one of the biggest things was just relief. Obviously that first playoff football game there's a lot of pressure going into it. You don't want to be the team that is the number one seed, and the first thing you do is give a letdown. So I think relief is honestly the first thing I want to say. The second thing is that we came out of it with no major injuries. I was definitely freaked out when it looked like Justin Reed went absolutely asleep on that one play. But I think that's another significant thing is the fact that we're not searching to plug in another left tackle or find somebody that needs to be, stepping up and taking over a spot. So that would be probably my second take. And then obviously we just sit there and wait until last night. And we get to watch an amazing game against the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. And it was absolutely crazy to see two snow games on top of that. So that honestly, I think I'm excited for what's to come. But I definitely have to give, props to the Houston Texans. I think that they played a tremendous football game for what they were given. Some major injuries at the receiver position. That defense knows how to get after it. And I think that's what's incredible is that they got a bright future ahead for sure. So obviously we'll probably talk a little bit about the complaining about the refs and things like that. I think it's a little crazy, but I think props to the Texans for sure. And now we look ahead.
Josh, what are your thoughts on that Texans game? We haven't actually talked about that.
Yeah, Andy Reid, I believe, just spoke this morning, and he mentioned how, considering who the opponent was, he thought the Chiefs' offensive line did a good job. And I think that just goes back to giving credit to the Houston Texans defense. I mean, they were a very strong unit this year, and they had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well. They lost Jalen Petra earlier in the season. He's a huge part of that secondary, but more specifically, Willie Anderson and Danielle Hunter, that was always going to be a handful. And they were getting the best of the Chiefs offensive line early on, but the Chiefs kind of settled in later in the game. And I thought did all right. Andy Reid obviously agrees. Something that I heard last night, and I was listening to RGR Football, and they were talking about this, but this is going to be about the matchup ahead. But, the Kansas City Chiefs are hosting the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship, and I think there's going to be a little bit of extra motivation there as opposed to facing the Baltimore Ravens because this was the one team that you lost to in the regular season. So after beating the Bills, or not the Bills, the Texans, the Chiefs know that there's going to be an even bigger challenge ahead, and it's going to mean a little bit more because this is a team you lost to, and I thought that was a very good point.
Well, and you can't play down to the Buffalo Bills. You almost did that in week 1 against the Ravens, and you still won, but it's just a different caliber of opponent. And so Josh Allen is going to come into Arrowhead, try to get that playoff monkey off his back. He's trying to beat Patrick Mahomes for the first time in the playoffs in what might be a legacy-defining game. If he goes 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes, I mean, we're going to have the same type of conversations like the Bills team in the early 90s that wasn't ever able to win a Super Bowl. So it's just that is the position that Josh Allen is in right now, whether it's fair to him or not, because he always shows up. But, Lucas, I want to ask you, what are your initial thoughts of this Buffalo team? Do you think that they are equipped to beat this Chiefs team in the postseason?
I do. And I'm obviously a diehard Chiefs fan, but I think when you really look at it, it's almost like they have that same mentality that we carried last year. That no fear of it doesn't matter who we play, where we play. We're gonna bring everything we've got. And I think too, you kind of just look at it and they're not really stacked at any position other than quarterback. They aren't fully elite at any position. And I think that really kind of replicates where we were last year on offense. So I think really not having that fear of even coming to Arrowhead and them just kind of coming together as a collective is what, if we're going to be honest, what scares me. It's not that they're going to play a certain type of way or anything like that. I just think that when you kind of take the football out of it and it's kind of like that street ball type of mentality, that's really where I think the Bills can potentially eclipse us, really. I just hope playing at Arrowhead doesn't hurt us. And because last year, again, man, we went on the road and it was just like, it doesn't matter who you put in front of us. And I know Travis Kelce came out and is like, give us the best. That's what we want. And it's just, I hope everybody has that same mentality. But yeah, that's really kind of what I fear with the Buffalo Bills is the fact that they really are kind of bringing that same attitude we had last year.
Michael, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to take over for a second. I'm going to ask a question to Lucas while we have him. But, I love what you have to say about this Chiefs versus Bills matchup, and I agree. I think they are equipped to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was talking to Michael about this last night when we reacted to the matchup being set after the Bills defeated the Ravens. But the Bills do not have a great defense. They can be exposed on the boundaries. Their safety room is a little weak. But I said to Michael last night, that's still a matchup that terrifies me if I'm the Chiefs because it's still Josh Allen and he can match just about anything that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do. I thought he was the only quarterback in the postseason that could realistically outplay Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. But my other concern is that the Chiefs offense really does not take advantage of bad defenses, and they haven't all year. This is not a team that has stretched anyone's defense with the vertical passing game, the explosive plays. There's been a shortage of them really over the last 2 years, but talking about this year and looking at this matchup, I mean, the explosive plays just aren't there. So does that concern you at all, or do you think that there is some sort of next level for the Kansas City Chiefs offense that we haven't seen yet?
To be honest with you, I'm going to take it back to this Houston game, and I think this is where I'm a little concerned because DeAndre Hopkins was targeted one time with no catch.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown was targeted one time and had no catches. And Juju Smith-Schuster, granted where he's at in his career, I don't even think was targeted. And so whether that was intentional or not, whether it was just a high level of confidence that we know we're gonna beat the Houston Texans, we don't want to put anything on paper, or it's the fact that those guys were locked down by a good defense, and you had to start using old reliable and Travis Kelce, your young new tool in Xavier Worthy, whatever that is. I hope that they can unlock what we hope to see. I actually saw a snippet of every game that we've beat the Bills in the postseason and the scores that we put up in those games. I sat there and started thinking, are we capable in this year putting up those types of numbers points wise?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to match.
That's a fantastic point because in all of the games that we've beaten Buffalo, it's like a 27-24, a 31. Like you have to be in the upper 20s and the low 30s to even have a chance to win this game. And you make the point that, maybe they're hiding something. I've heard that from RGR. I've heard that from a number of different sources and people basically claiming that the Chiefs are holding something back for this game. I find it kind of hard to believe because it's a playoff game. I understand that the Houston Texans weren't the most dominant offensively, but do you guys think that they're maybe holding something back for this Bills game?
I just find it hard to believe because we didn't see it against the Texans.
Yeah,
and like Lucas said, though, like the Texans are very good defense, so maybe that's why. And then like once you realize that you had that Mahomes to Kelce connection, it's like, okay, we can win this game with only that. Maybe we don't need to show everyone else. But talking about the Bills in particular, go back to the regular season game. In the first half, the offense did well, and Xavier Worthy was like the entire offense. And then he only had like one target in the second half, I believe. They completely went away from it. And it just kind of makes the Chiefs always leave the door open just a little bit to make you think, is this intentional? Like, surely this is intentional, and they're just trying to save this for the postseason. They know that they're going to see this team again. And then defensively speaking as well, and Michael, we talked about this last night, Steve Spagnuolo didn't even have a QB spy on Josh Allen on that last TD run of the game to basically ice it. And it's like, surely that's not something that we're going to see in the postseason.
What are your thoughts, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to, like, I was thinking that first game against the Bills, like, we didn't really have a solidified left tackle. Pacheco was out. Like, we were missing some very key
I don't think they had
pieces.
O'Menihue either. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
No
Charles-
Menahue, no Jalen Watson. It was Wanye Morris at left tackle. There was a bunch of stuff that wasn't going in their favor.
And granted, they were missing some guys too. And I just think that, yeah, it was the regular season. I think they have to deep down at the end of the game when Mahomes and Allen come together in the middle, and he's like, every time it's like, we'll see in the postseason. They know that's going to happen. And so I could see Andy being a crafty guy of like, hey, let's fully not open up the playbook. But again, like, what concerns me, and I'll just be honest with you guys when it comes to this whole thing, is our red zone conversion rate.
Yeah.
I think the fact that when we get into the red zone, we get too cute. One of the things I was messaging some good friends during that football game is, man, we got down to like, it was like we were definitely in the red zone, and it's like, hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, Kareem Hunt is an absolute workhorse. He's going to plow. He's going to do his thing. And we're running like weird trick plays with Xavier Worthy and like, get after it with a ground and pound game. And I think that's the type of mentality, kind of go back to your question, Josh, like offensively, like, I think that's going to be the game plan, in my opinion, is you're literally going to lean on the guy you drafted years ago, and you're going to feed him the football, and you're going to let him chomp. And like, I mean, we saw it last night when the Ravens started making a comeback. What were they doing? They were literally handing the football off to either Justice Hill or Derrick Henry, and they were just letting those dudes eat. And I think that's how you're going to beat the Bills, is you're just going to have to hand the football to Kareem Hunt and let him hit them little windows, which I have no idea how he finds, because Pacheco needs to kind of get that vision too. But yeah, I think, man, that's how the offense is going to have to work this week, is something Andy doesn't like to do, and that's run the football.
Well, go ahead, Josh.
I'm just going to say it. Years later, who's still bailing this team out? It's the John Dorsey draft picks.
It's Kareem Hunt, man. Somehow, some way, like, he comes back after all those years, and he's motivated, man, to go out there and prove it. Now, something else that's interesting to note, we may have a different left tackle in this game. There's a lot of speculation that they put DJ Humphries out there at left tackle, move Joe Tooney back at left guard, allowing them to be able to run the ball on the left side, but it also gives them a look that the Buffalo Bills haven't seen. Now, that is a rumor, but I thought that it would be worth noting. Now, kind of to go back a little bit, my thoughts on the whole, is the offense pulling their punches? Are they not trying to put stuff out on tape? I feel like to a certain extent that is true. But the more that the season goes on, and especially now that we're in the playoffs, I feel like that has become an excuse for the lack of effectiveness of the offense. So I feel like everyone says, oh, the Chiefs are just saving this. Clearly they would do this in this moment. They haven't done that. And so maybe we're just giving them the benefit of the doubt and giving them an excuse. And I hope that I'm wrong. But, like you said, Lucas, they're going to have to put up points, and they're going to have to be able to run the football effectively, because they haven't done either of those things down the stretch in this season.
I see some of this stuff that goes on in these games, and I just think to myself, are the Chiefs serious? Like, is Andy Reid serious? And I don't say this lightly, because I really want to believe that there's a next level for this offense to go, and that they're still just really trying to hide some stuff, because like Lucas mentioned, the red zone offense, and I just think it's criminal not to utilize DeAndre Hopkins in the red zone, because in his very first real game with the Chiefs, that Bucks game in prime time, they went to him in the red zone multiple times, and I mean, he was basically automatic, and it's like, surely we see that. But like, another sequence that I point to is against the Houston Texans. You guys remember when the Texans went for it on 4th down with the play clock running, and they ended up not getting it, and then the Chiefs turn around and immediately go 3 and out. It's like they're not even trying to get the first down. They ran like 2 plays, one to Pacheco, one to Kareem Hunt, basically get no yards, and then an incomplete pass, and then you have to get rid of it. And it's just stuff like that makes me think the door's cracked open. The Chiefs aren't playing serious football right now, but maybe we see that against Buffalo. And I really hope that's the case. Otherwise, like, I'm very concerned about like what the plan is most of the time.
Yeah, no, you make a good point because that 4th and 10, man, like after you get that stop, you're at midfield, you're like 10, 15 yards away from a field goal for Butker. So that's an opportunity where you left points on the board. And I feel like going into Buffalo, or I guess going into this Buffalo game, you cannot afford that. And so, Lucas, a question that I have for you is we've seen so often that the Chiefs are able to win this postseason matchup against Buffalo. If the Chiefs were not to win this game, what do you think would have to happen?
Man, turnovers. I think we saw that last night. If and they're like plus 23, maybe 25 in turnover ratio. Like they know how to turn the football over or force their opponents to turn the football over. So I'd have to say that. I think if they find a way to manage Travis Kelce, and obviously I still think he's going to get his numbers, but I think if they find a way to really cover the middle, I think that's where we're going to kind of struggle. I think the Chiefs will run the football. I think they'll run it effectively. But again, I think it all depends on being able to control the clock. If you get up by 10, just being able to manage that. And I think from a defensive standpoint, your primary focus is going to be Josh Allen. I mean, we're seeing that dude when it's time to clutch up. He's sprinting, he's running, he's trucking, he's literally bulldozing people. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns last night. I think it's just Josh Allen is going to do whatever he can to take his team to the Super Bowl. So I think if you can contain Josh Allen, maybe force him to turn the football over once, and really just manage the football on the offensive side for the Chiefs. And I think that's what it comes down to me. I think if the Bills truly find a way to turn the football over, I think then Kansas City is going to be, because like we just talked about, are we going to be able to put up the numbers, the points that we've done in years past? And we haven't truly seen that yet. We haven't seen a fully unlocked offense. Like, I mean, if you guys truly look at it, I mean, we're missing, yes, Rashee Rice, but the fact that you have a Hall of Fame wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, you literally have one of the glitchiest rookies in the NFL in Xavier Worthy. You have another absolute freak in Hollywood Brown. You have a two-headed monster in the backfield. Your offensive line is one of the best. I mean, and you have the best quarterback in the NFL. There is absolutely no reason this offense shouldn't be putting up the numbers that we expect as a fan base. And so, yeah, I think that it just comes down to truly not turning the football over and scoring points.
Josh, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think that's perfectly said, and I agree with Lucas. I just think, that 30-point threshold has one that they haven't really hit, and it's kind of become a joke. Because Michael, we talked about this, and Lucas, I don't know if you've seen it, but at the end of the season, they threw up a graphic on the broadcast. I think it was during or after the Chiefs' last game of the season, and they showed the teams that were yet to hit 30 points this season, and it was like the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Raiders. And you had the Patriots and the Raiders who were god awful, in contention for a top 5 pick. And then you have the Chiefs, and it's just man, this is impossible stuff they're doing, winning these games without scoring 30 points. And you can do that in the regular season, but I think this is time, man. If you do not break 30 points, I don't know if you win this game.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you could win it if you get a good defensive performance, if you put up 27, but you can't win this game, putting up 23 points. This is going to have to be the offense's best game of the year. And I really don't have anything else to add to what Lucas said. I think he kind of had a mic drop moment. So that's all the time we have for this video, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Josh and Lucas, when we start with Lucas first, where can the people find you?
You can find me at the Beat of KC on Twitter. Really, that's where I've been hanging out. So yeah, head on over there to the Beat of KC.
And Josh?
And as for me, you can find me here on YouTube, Show Me Football, channel name. You can find my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com, and then lastly, follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB.
And guys, Josh and Lucas's stuff will be linked in the description of this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Chiefs.